Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Too Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. 2 easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got actress Lisa Barry with me. So welcome, Lisa.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You know, I've been a fan of yours for a surprisingly long time. Yeah, because I remember back when Rookie Blue, you had a little appearance, and
Oh,
there
wow.
was what was the sci-fi? Lost Girls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's been a little
Wow,
while,
yeah, you're
and
right. You're
and
you're an
you had
OG.
it. I'm now. I want to make sure I'm. Didn't you have a little thing on Nikita too?
Yes, I did.
Okay, see, there you go.
Yes, I
I'm a
did.
sci-fi guy, so those shows that back in the 90s, early 2000s that were kind of syndicated or they were on like
Yeah.
a USA or Sci-Fi Network. I
Mhm.
was all about those shows.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I got the note that you were in Black Beauty with that, I was like, heck yeah, I'll talk to her. I know who that is.
Oh, thank you.
So you're well. Let's start this. Let's start this way, Lisa. Before we get into Black Beauty, tell me a little bit about what got you into acting, because it's a tough profession. So what made you want to become an actress?
I fell into acting by accident. It
Yeah,
was on a dare, actually.
that's a little unusual.
I was a makeup artist and enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
But I was also the makeup artist who would sing and tell jokes and entertain people while I was working. And people would always just come up to me and say, you should be an actor. You should do that. I'm like,
So
yeah, I
you're
don't.
working on actors. They're telling you should be an actor.
I mean, well, I'm working on regular people who are just finding me entertaining.
Oh,
But
okay.
at the end of the day, uh, I was like, sure, I'll do this because there was open calls for the Lion King audition for the Lion King, and they were doing open call auditions. And I was like, oh, you know what? How about that? That's big league, guys.
That
So
is.
I will go to the open call, and if I get it, then I'll consider it.
Okay. Okay. A
Not thinking
test.
I was going to go very far with it at all. And I'd wagered at the time I drank, and I was just like, I want a drink from each of you.
That's fair.
Just because my feelings will be hurt, guys.
Well, you're putting
And
yourself out there. You're
because
going to
you're
need to
forcing
be
me to do
cheered
this
up.
now because you're just not letting up. And so I went to the Lion King open call auditions, and I got a call back, and I was like, okay. So I lost the first bet. And then it was another callback and another callback, and then it was me and somebody else, and I for one of the hyenas, and I was like, what's happening? I don't understand. I've never taken a singing lesson. I've never
Well,
taken
I
an
was
acting
going to say,
lesson. I've
can
never
you
like I wasn't I,
sing?
I wasn't I wasn't the kid who was always, doing the song and dance and stuff like that. So it was very bizarre to me. It was very.
So no theater through school?
No, no. I mean, I was in drama class, but that was because it was an easy class. You're just like, who wants to do improv? I was like, oh, I could do that.
Right.
So I took it more because I wanted an easy A, you know, not because it was like a calling
Oh, yeah.
or anything
I
that I
remember
wanted
those
to
type
do.
classes. I had a bunch of those.
Yeah, so I took all of those classes just as a way to coast through, but it ended up becoming something so much more than that.
I
And
mean, it's not supposed to be that easy. You know,
well, it wasn't that it was easy. I didn't get the part, but in the end, I was kind of like, how did I get that
You
far
got
with
pretty
like
close.
no training, no nothing? So I was like, you know what? Let me just give it a try. And I went to theater school, and I was like, you know what? If I can make back my tuition, I made it, you know.
Yeah.
And so when I made back, you know, my first like 30,000, and yes, theater school was 30,000. When I made back 30,000, I was like, I did it.
Well,
I
back to the
I made
makeup
it.
job.
I made it, Mom. I made it.
Oh, that's terrific. What was the first like TV role that you had?
I was on Degrassi.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Well, I didn't see the episode.
Theater
I saw it
manager,
on there.
and I was like, "Could you get back to work?" That was my line, I think. Can
Well, at
you
least
get
you
back
got a
to work?
line.
And then I had to look.
Mm.
But I was like, I auditioned for it. I got it. I was so excited.
So you didn't just get a line; you got to like align with attitude.
I got a line with attitude. Yes, I did. Yes, I
That's
did.
pretty good.
I got a line with attitude. It was so much fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and we loved you as you played Billie on Supernatural. We love that.
I love that too. I love that too.
Yeah, of course. It wasn't just Billie. We kind of knew what you were.
I always knew what Billy was. I
Yeah,
always knew what Billy was.
Supernatural is such a good show, and it was on for like decades.
I mean, yeah, 15 years is a good run.
That's
15
pretty
years.
solid.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Well, and I have this feeling at some point they'll come back.
You never know.
They'll
With a
reboot
show
that.
like that, you never know.
Yeah, because
You
it
never
did so well. You just wait. 10 years from
Yeah,
now, we'll be
and it's
doing
got an
another.
incredible community that to this day still is very much invested in it and loves it. And
Was
we're
that
very
the
much a
first
family
show
still.
that you had that like where you might have had to deal with a fandom type of situation? Because that was such a popular show,
Yeah,
and that's a convention show. Like you could do comic conventions with that
I
role.
do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so tell me about that because that's a little different than like guest starring on a show for an episode. You did a bunch of episodes on there, and it was a very recognizable role.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like being a guest star on a show because those, you know, like 15 episodes were broken up over 5 years.
Yeah,
So it's an interesting way to build a character, and I love the opportunity to explore how I could dive into a new avenue with this character because I created a world where to become death, you don't just get all the information, you slowly but surely get downloads of information. So every episode I would have the opportunity to come back and just have a new download of just like, oh, now I know this.
yeah, right,
And it pushes my conviction even further because you never know when you're going to come back. But if you do, it's kind of like, how are you different from the last time they saw you?
right.
What's different, whether it's on paper or just in your own knowing of it as like backstory for yourself as the actor so that you can play something that's more actionable.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought that they could spin that character off. You could have got your own show.
I'll take it.
It's not too
I'll
late.
take it.
We could revisit.
Hey man, don't threaten me with a good time.
Well, you did the Power Rangers movie.
I did.
What
I
was your role in
Power
that?
Rangers mom.
Oh yeah, Power Rangers mom. Yep. Well, they got to come from somewhere.
Yes, yes. Heroes are born.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody has to raise these heroes.
Yeah.
Now I remember you were Candace.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh shoot. Cranston. That was the last name, I think. All right, Candace Cranston.
You're
Is that
good.
right?
You're
Well, the
good.
only reason I remember is because
Either you have a cheat sheet or you're good. You're
now
good.
I remember because Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad,
Oh,
my
yes.
son's
Yes.
favorite show, and so then that's how I remember.
Okay. Yes. 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 You are correct. Ding, ding,
I
ding.
that stuff's in there. It just takes a little while for it to percolate to the top. Eventually, it comes out. Just
I love it.
I'm
I
slow.
love it.
You do some coaching of other actors as well?
I work with actors, but I also work with a wide range of people that some are actors, some are not, some are
Well, is
writers,
it more like life
creatives.
coaching?
Hmm?
Is it more like a life coaching type of thing?
It's more like a mindfulness coaching,
Oh,
meditation, practice building.
yeah.
I run a company called Take a Breath, and it's we've had a lot of success with really helping people get back into their bodies and get out of their head. And our whole philosophy is say less, feel more. And
Is it like breath work that you're
yes,
doing? Yeah, yeah.
yes.
That stuff is really helpful. We actually have a good friend that does similar. She was an actress and
Mhm.
retired from acting and went into breath work. She works she's down in Atlanta doing
Oh, I
some.
love it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Artists
I'm
are
a little bit
so
familiar
well
with
conditioned for
some
this
of that.
work because it's the work that we do. We are constantly having to learn how to be present, mindful, so that we
Right.
can bring all of those things to our work. If you don't have a sense of who you are, if you don't understand what choices you make in this world, how are you supposed to build a character that understands and makes their own choices if you're
Point.
just by rote going with all of your own instincts, which is great, but there's something fun in being able to go, I know Lisa reacts like that, but based on this character, I
Right.
think they would react like this instead. But you have to know yourself to be able to make those kind of choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that totally makes sense. And I would think, do you also use it as a like a recovery? You know, if you've got a role that's really intense, maybe you need some recovery time after.
Well, you most definitely need recovery after every role, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I work so much with energy that you have to find a way to ground yourself.
What led you into breath work?
You know, it's probably because I always wish that somebody at the beginning of my spiritual journey told me it's not about how positive you are.
Right.
It's about how much stillness you can find.
Oh, I
Because
love
that's where
that.
you're going to get your answers. That's where you're going to find your connection to your higher self, be that God, universe, source. And I was always just in a deep belief of just like, I don't know who else needs to hear this, but you're going to need to find a new way into the work because just saying let it go or it'll be okay or this too shall pass kind of falls on deaf ears if you don't know how to embody it.
Right.
And that became really clear when the work got too much and I couldn't let it go. And I just looked around and I saw so many of my peers and my colleagues struggling with the exact same thing and no way to navigate it, handle it. And people would lose careers, be labeled difficult, or just suffer consequences of just not being able to deal with their own emotional landscape. And
Right.
so I just wanted to help, in truth. I'm I love this work. I love doing this work. And even the courses that I've created, anytime I'm feeling down, anytime I wake up and I feel anxious or overwhelmed, I'll go back to my own course. I'll go back to my own practices that I've written, and I go back to them because they work. They're how I stay grounded. They're how I maintain a sense of ease in my life. And that's not to say that I'm not, vulnerable to darker forces trying to
Sure.
walk into my life at any given moment. But, I understand how much compassion is required for this
Right.
journey from
Right.
a very specific, relatable place. I know what it is to have big emotions that you can't just get rid of and they pop up unexpectedly and then you feel guilty and you feel like you should have gotten over this by now and or you thought you were over it by now and you're re-triggered and the level of compassion that is needed is just so below what I think people give themselves, myself included.
I agree with that. We're hard on ourselves.
We're very, very hard on ourselves and that harshness turns into sickness.
Yeah. 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 I love that. And I'm assuming you're probably teaching classes on that particular
I used to
subject.
teach classes.
Yeah.
Now I have courses. I have a meditation course called Breathe, and it's designed to help people over 31 days really help them ground themselves back into their body so that they can feel centered and have autonomy and discernment in a time when I feel it's most needed. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's fake, but learning to live from the inside out rather than the outside in is going to serve in a way that protects you.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the thoughts behind stillness or silence, because we all struggle with that because there's so many distractions, outside noises, voices, all of that stuff that it keeps us from actually progressing in our own lives
Yeah.
because we're just filled up with all these distractions and stuff. So if you
Mhm.
can kind of eliminate that and just be, it
And
allows you to think before
the way that we run our courses is we meet you where you are.
okay.
A lot of times people think they need to be good at meditation. I was like, you're not bad at meditation. You just think meditation has to be this perfect
Right.
presentation of stillness. And really, meditation is understanding that you're going to have thoughts and then you're going to realize that you're having thoughts and then you're going to go back to your breath. And then you're going to think something and then you're going to have a whole spiral of thoughts and then you're going to be like, oh, my, I did it again. And then you're going to be like, oh, let me come back to my breath. And what you'll notice is the more that you do it, you'll see a gap get bigger and bigger and bigger between those thoughts.
Right.
And that's where the stillness starts to come in. And kind of just like putting money into a bank account or filling up a jug of water, you know what I mean? It's like every drop fills it up. Every time you put $5 into the bank, you're just like, you don't all of a sudden go back to the bank and be like, well, where'd my $5 go? And a lot of people really, really can't understand that you are adding and you are filling yourself up because it does feel like you're like, but I feel like I take it out so
Right.
often because I need to relax. And I'm like, oh, I got to go into the savings account and take out the $10 that was in there from 2 days because now I'm irritated. And I was like, it doesn't really work like that. So I like to give people a different metaphor that I heard that really changed how I saw meditation. And it's more like being at the beach. And meditation is a really great place to be. And then you get hot. Life happens, right? Go in the water. You go in the
Yep.
water, you're like, so refreshing. I love it. The salt water is exfoliating my skin and the sun is helping me glisten. I feel great, cooled off. But then eventually it dries.
Yep.
You get hot again. And you just go back into the water rather than feeling like you've done something wrong and like the water doesn't exist to you anymore.
Seems
The
simple the way you're
process of going
describing
back
it.
in. Hmm?
I said it seems simple the way you're describing it.
It is. I mean, one of the things we want to do with Take a Breath is to really make it practical and
Yep.
simple. And just everybody should have access to something that makes them feel more relaxed. Everybody should have tools to help navigate this world, and they're simple and they're free. I mean, yes, there are people who are charging to teach you these things, but that's not the real price.
Right.
Whatever you're paying for your meditation teacher, your course, or your therapist, that's not the real price. The real price is your attention
Right.
because you got to do it. You know, you could buy my course and I have set it all up to step you through it every step of the way. And I'm accessible. You can send me a message and I'll be like, oh, this is what you're dealing with today. I got, oh, that's exactly right. This happens at this stage. You brought, all of these things up and now you want to, and a lot of people, when they get uncomfortable, they're going to quit.
Right.
Like a good, 75% of people, the minute they get uncomfortable, they'll go back to old ways. And if you keep going, you're going to experience something different. But then that doesn't mean you're not going to have stuff come up. In fact, the stuff that's going to come up is like the real stuff's going to even come up even
Right.
further. And you'll be like, but I really thought I dealt with this. And you're like, you dealt with it on that level. But as as you ascend, the wind's going to try and knock you back down because you're going against a force, just like altitude changes. And you
Right,
got
right,
to learn
right,
to breathe differently, move differently, speak differently. And you can't really heal if you're still doing all the old things that kept you in that space. So we teach people how to feel the vibration of the words coming out of their mouth. We teach people how to understand what's happening in their body, to calm down their nervous system, and why it's so important to be able to settle your own nervous system, why you need to be working from the inside out rather than the outside in. And it's just a really beautiful journey that you see how much easier it can be when you have something that tethers you, because you're like, oh, today this is what we're working through. This is the idea that we're thinking of. This is what the principle we're holding on to today, you know? So it's a really beautiful experience, but it's also really simple, and it takes no more than like 10 minutes out of your day, more if you want to, obviously. But it's a beautiful practice. And whether it's with me or with somebody else, I do encourage people to join things now.
right.
Be a part of a community. Don't try and do it alone. That is not going to be
We tried
a
that
fun journey.
isolation thing. It didn't work out too well.
Yeah, don't try and think your way out of it. That's what got you here in the first place.
Right.
Just find someone you can take a deep breath with. Find someone you can be sitting in those feelings with, because it's uncomfortable to deal with stuff. It's uncomfortable, and it's even more uncomfortable when it comes up and you say to yourself, I'm going to stay open to what this is saying.
Yeah.
You know, I just tell people right now, I'm like, who do you need to talk to right now? Who inside of you did you neglect, leave behind, treat like trash? Who? And your inner 5-year-old? Is it your high school? Is it who you were last week because a mistake you made and you still holding on to it? Like, who do you need to turn around to right now
Right.
and just say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I left you. I didn't know. Oh my God, I didn't. That's the song you've had on repeat? No, no, no. Scratch the record. You know what I mean? Like, who do you need to go within yourself and actually have a real heart to heart with,
Right.
and just cry with them? I think we're so, conditioned to be strong, and we think that looks like a very solid exterior, when in truth it's a real soft, tender place to be. And you're just, like, when was the last time you let yourself weep?
Yeah, I love that, and I like it because you're treating. What's the old adage? You're not just treating the symptoms. You're actually finding a cure for the actual problems that you're uncovering. And
Yeah.
that's most of the time we're so busy and stuff is we may put a band-aid on something, but we never really get in there and fix the issue. So it just keeps coming up.
Well, they're looking for the solution.
Right.
We're constantly looking for the solution. And what I say to that is, you've already found the solution to your pain. It's the food, it's the sugar, it's the drinking, it's the whatever. That's the solution, because that's the thing you keep going to when you feel uncomfortable. So you
Yeah.
already internally are like, no, I don't, I'm looking for the solution. I'm just going to have this donut to feel better. And then
Right.
I'll understand what the problem is. And you're like, try not having the solution and realize that the problem is all the things that you're doing are what you're using as a solution. So what's the real solution?
Yeah.
When you don't have the food or the alcohol or the whatever
Right.
to lean on, the work, who are you when you're at rest?
Oh, I like that one
Duh.
really well because um, a lot of times we do that. It's almost like you're hiding from yourself. You keep yourself so
Yeah.
busy, you're kind of hiding from
Yeah.
yourself. You never slow down long enough to really analyze what's going on with yourself.
Yeah. To really feel what your body is actually going through, to take a inventory of, like, so what did that just do to us?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, you lost somebody,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
we all do that where we're
whatever,
like, I'll
something
deal with
happens,
that
but we
later.
we live in a world where we act like people aren't coming and going
Right.
all the time. And you're just like, I remember taking my son home from the hospital, and I was like, this world looks completely different now. But
Yeah.
everybody's acting like it's Tuesday.
Right.
I mean, it is, but so many, like, there's a sacredness that
Yeah.
I teach people to bring to their life with this work, because right now a lot of people, they don't think they're this incredibly divine being that has a purpose and that was sent here for a reason. They don't believe that they matter. They don't believe that their thoughts matter. They don't believe that the energy that they put out into the world matters. So they just go with whatever's happening, unaware that they could do something. And there have been people with far worse circumstances than I who have used these very tools to elevate themselves into places that they couldn't have imagined when they were in that other place.
Well, I love the fact that you figured that out for yourself and you didn't keep it to yourself. You're sharing it,
Wanted
you're
to.
helping
Wanted
others with it.
I wanted to. Don't get it twisted. I wanted to keep it to myself. It's a different path to share this stuff because I always had the fear of people being like, "Oh, you think you know it all?" And it was like,
Right.
I know
Right.
nothing, but I do practice these principles. And when I live by these principles, people enjoy my company. They
Yeah.
don't enjoy my company if I'm not living by these principles, but when I live by the principle of notice what you have to be grateful for, say thank you, talk
Yeah.
nice to yourself and others. When you see me practicing those principles, and they are principles, then you're like, oh wow, you're such a nice person. I was like, these principles are nice. It's a nice way
Right.
to live, right? But if I'm not being a nice person, if I'm not speaking nicely, if I'm not saying thank you, then you don't think I'm that awesome person anymore.
Well,
And
that's right.
because it's got nothing to do with me, it's actually got everything to do with the principles. And so once I was able to understand and have that feel clear in my spirit, that I was like, oh, it's not about me. It's about sharing these principles and these teachings because I thought everybody knew them and they
Yeah.
don't. And they
Oh,
don't. I'm every day I meet someone who's just like, I've never meditated until I came across you. And I was
yeah.
like,
Well, so you initially may have wanted to keep that to yourself, but I'm guessing pretty quickly you kind of enjoyed sharing
oh,
that.
I love it now.
Yeah.
I absolutely love sharing these principles, sharing this way of being. I think it's so wonderful. And I
Yeah.
love hearing how other people interpret it and how other people are using these principles because that's all we're doing as healers, as teachers, as guides, whether it's Oprah or Gabby Bernstein or Eckhart Tolle, it doesn't really matter who it is. They're all interpreting the same laws of attraction and spiritual teachings that have been around for millennia,
Right.
you know. And I find it really fascinating to have conversations with people who learned it from a different perspective or who have a religion that has guided their spiritual journey or who didn't have a religion that have guided their spiritual journey or who are like, I'm into witchcraft and that's my connection too. And you're just like, this is so cool, man. I could talk about this forever.
Well, yeah, because it's really interesting because it's dealing with improving yourself or reaching heights that maybe you wouldn't reach if you didn't actively pursue
Yeah.
improvement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so we have to talk about Beyond Black Beauty. So it's on Prime, but tell us what that's about.
It's on Prime right now, and at the heart of our story is Jolie, played beautifully by Kaya Coleman. Definitely someone to watch. And
Yeah.
we first meet her when she's being, let's say, aggressively ejected out of the only life she's ever known in Belgium, one of privilege and wealth. And she's transplanted into the heart of Baltimore, where her mom's ranch is and I run. And the journey unfolds from there. And we get to see the beautiful connection between horse and human and nature and how we can achieve anything when we come together and rebuild as a family. It's really, really beautiful. If you're looking for something that's positive, that you can watch as a family, check out our show.
Yeah, we've been watching with my granddaughter,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, she loves it. She doesn't, she's still fairly young, so she doesn't catch everything, but the parts she's catching and the fact that it's got a horse in it, she loves it.
Yeah.
She loves it. She loves it. It's been really good. I was always a fan of the book growing up. Yeah, it was one of my favorites. Kind of introduced me to horses. When I was pretty young. Had you ever read the book?
I read the book when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it is, see, we've made things very different. It's
Right.
not through
More of a
the
modern retelling.
perspective. It's definitely a modern take, and we're all kind of embodying the spirit of beauty and in our show. But I mean, if you're asking if people who have read the book would love the show, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that it's yes, because I have. I've
You're
thought
like, I love
it's
it.
really,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
it's really well done. And that's one of those, it's it would have worked fine as a period piece, but I really like it that it's kind of modernized. I think it's easier for some to connect when they
Yeah.
can see something that they're, more likely to go through.
Yeah, like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. You're like,
That's
oh,
right.
I get it now.
That's right. That's right.
My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So really good. So what's your role on the show?
I play Yvonne Parrish and I run the ranch and I have the responsibility of keeping the legacy alive while also trying to build a family and expand and change things and not try and offend people, but also reconnect with my sister who's been gone for 20 years. And we were tight. And so the rebuilding of our relationship is a huge part of the show. And that's a theme that runs through all the characters of just like, how do we build relationship? How do we forgive? How do we move forward from a place of love and then of course, we have a wonderful cliffhanger that I won't spoil, but all that connection leads to a breaking point.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I think that's the part about the show I love the most is the interpersonal relationships are really well done. Yeah, it's got pretty good. The dialogue's good. The writing's really strong. But I really like the way the characters interact together because it
Yeah,
seems real to me, like it's believable.
it is. We met first day, we felt like a family.
Yeah.
I was like, the energy is real. We were immediately connected, and that just was such a fun arena to play in when you're just like everybody's so incredible and I just love you guys all so much. I can't believe I didn't know you before now because I love you so much.
Right. Well, and speaking of cliffhangers, we are going to get a season 2 at some point. All right, I'm making some calls because we don't want to risk that. Don't leave us hanging.
I know, and it's such a cliffhanger too. It's such a cliffhanger, but
I know. I know. Well, we know as fans, we know what to do. We
yeah,
know how to make sure your show comes back.
you're like, hey guys,
Don't you
sing
feel like
on
we
my
kind of
feet.
need more feel good type of shows right now?
Yeah, I think just for balance,
Yeah.
just for balance. Yeah.
I used to complain, that, does everything have to just end in a nice, tidy bow? Does it always have to be a positive ending? But then at some point we got, like there
I know
was
we
no
went the other way
positive
too
ending.
far.
Yeah, we went way too far to
Yeah,
that
you're
to
like,
that
does
time.
everything have to end in a way that makes us
Yeah.
feel we're not going to make it?
Yeah, you feel at
Too
best
real.
kind of bittersweet at the best. A lot
Yeah.
of times you feel like just not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
tidy bow now. Give me
I'm
a little
I'm a
bit of
fan of
good
the
news.
tidy bow too. I think it's necessary only for balance.
That's right.
Only for balance. I think we felt the other way because there was no balance. It was like, okay, come on. We know that life isn't like, and now you're like, whoa, guys,
Right.
sometimes
Well,
you
and
have.
you've done a few Christmas movies, I think, at some
Well,
point.
I not where I was any of the main characters.
Yeah, yeah. But it would just end. It just happened to
I was
be
like
in.
in it for like a minute,
Okay, okay. Because
like
those
playing
tend to wrap
boss
up kind
for
of
two
nicely.
2 seconds, but I was never the part of the storyline of a Christmas movie. I actually really do consider BB's We Three Kings to be my first Christmas movie, like proper.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. It's just a matter of time because there's so many made in Canada. It's
There
just
are, but I had never made one. I'd never like in a real way. I'd never made one. I was like, everybody keeps doing.
not
Everybody's.
yet, but it's coming. I have a feeling with that. You did had a guest spot on Workin Moms.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyed that show.
Love
And
that show.
I know that was such a good find when I think we found it maybe in the second or third season and kind of went
Oh,
back.
nice.
And it's yeah, that's a pretty funny show.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I was grateful to be on that one too.
I saw you did. I'm, obviously Star Trek fan, so I saw you were on Discovery with
Yep.
that. What was the character you were playing?
I was playing Canuck and we were rebel fighters and
Yeah,
trying to take over the Enterprise.
there was so many rebel fighters in Discovery.
Yeah, a lot. There was a lot of rebellion happening
A
around the
lot of
galaxy.
rebellion. They ran
Yeah,
into that a lot.
yeah.
But now you can say though you're part of that universe now.
I know it's very cool. Very,
It's
very
kind of like
cool.
if you do a Disney show, you're a Disney kid now forever.
I guess so. I guess
Yeah.
so. It's nice to be a part of it.
Yeah. Loved you on Ghost Rider.
Oh, thank you.
We'd we'd had Tony Ofori, I think is how you pronounce his last
Mm.
name. He'd been on, and he was getting ready to do Ghost Rider, so that's the reason we started watching it. And yeah, you were
Oh, nice.
yeah, really good, really good. I'm a big chicken, so I haven't seen Slasher, but I've had some of that cast on. I hear it was terrific.
It's a good
Yeah,
one. It's a good
you had
one. Only
maybe
if you're into gore horror.
well, that's it, and I'm not. I'm a big
Yeah.
chicken with that. But
If
did you
you're
play
like, if
two
you don't
different
want to see
roles?
an arm ripped off or blood
No, no, no.
splurting somewhere, might not be the show for
I'd
you.
have my eyes closed the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, did
Yeah.
you play two characters on that show?
I did 2 seasons. I did two
Oh, two
seasons.
seasons. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was one that it surprised me how long that show was out.
Oh yeah, no, they do a great job.
Yeah, they do
They're
such a
very, very
that's
good.
always what
Very,
I've
very
heard. It's
good.
just excellent, excellently done. I'm just
Yeah, wonderful team.
yeah, I'm just big chicken, so I hadn't checked it out. Shadowhunters, loved you on that one.
Thank you.
Shadowhunters was one that when our boys they were still at home and they watched that one. They're grown and out of the house now, but at the time we watched that with them. It was a pretty good show.
Awesome.
Yeah, just go through your whole catalog.
I know. I know. I'm like, you know my resume. They know my resume.
Like I know you did a Saw movie as an EMT, but I couldn't tell you that I've seen it. Same reason. Chicken. I did see the first Saw movie. I couldn't tell you why, and it that is out of character for me. But
Yeah.
it ended after the first one.
Yeah. You're like, I did not know what I was walking into, but
I
the
think
name
that's
kind of
probably
gave it
it.
away.
I
The
think
name, the
because
name gave it away.
in the first one had the guy from Princess Bride in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was probably why I watched it.
You're like, oh, oh, oh. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have let me down. You have led me down a violent path I wasn't prepared for. Have you have you ever considered stepping behind the camera? Any ambition to write or
I am a producer. I've produced a
oh,
couple
very
of things.
good.
I'm in the process of developing a show right now with a creative partner of mine, and I love that. I love it all. I do. I do. I've been
Producing can
an
be, I
actor
mean,
for
it
over
can
20
be
years.
pretty it can be just giving money if that's what you want. But if you're a producer, you're involved.
Yeah. Well,
Got a
that's
lot of
that's
hats.
why I think when actors become produce like executive producers, I think because they want to have a say in what the set looks like and who gets cast and the story that they're telling. And that's a really fun place to be. That's
Yeah.
a really, really fun place to be.
What's the genre that you're working on?
Comedy.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Have you
It's
got to do,
fun.
I know you've done a little bit of comedy. Have you got to do,
No,
as
it's so
much
rare
as
that
you
I get to
want?
do comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to diving into it and all these other things that I'm creating.
Are
Yeah.
you going to make an appearance in this one? Or is it
Well,
just
because I'm free labor at this point. So when we made a proof of concept, I was like, put me in, coach.
okay.
But
Okay.
I
Very
don't need
good.
to be in the things that I write. Ultimately, I don't.
Yeah. I know some people, they always put themselves in. Some prefer not to put themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just what you want to do.
Yeah. It's one of
Oh,
those that I always look at. If you're the producer, you could put yourself into a role that maybe you wouldn't normally get,
yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
cool.
that's how most people and why most people do it.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true because
Yeah.
that allows you to
Like I
show,
want
hey,
to
I
play,
can
so
do
I'll
these
I
roles.
made it. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Aw, this has been so
I'm
great.
learning stuff.
You're learning stuff. I'm learning that you know a lot of stuff. My goodness, this has
Well,
been so
I've
great.
always said that I've got all this useless knowledge in my head, and I never knew what to do with it. It's just there. And then podcasting.
You're like, there you go. And being someone's charades partner.
Found it. Yeah, that's right. That's
You're
exactly
like,
right.
hey,
Well,
that's
Lisa, thank you so
amazing.
much. This has been terrific. I'm such a fan. And if I remember right, you're classically trained.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
We like the classics.
I love it. Yes, yes. I love being on stage as well. I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah. Well, it allows you that kind of intimate contact with your audience that you don't always get with
yeah,
TV and movies.
yeah.
And the part about stage performance that always impressed me, because I could never act, is that if you're on stage, you never connect with the audience in a direct way. So you
Right. Or
never,
break the fourth wall.
like you're not making eye contact with somebody in the audience when you're on stage,
Unless that's the rule. Unless that's
unless
the
that's the role. But
yeah.
that's very difficult to do, because you're like, in some cases, you're maybe just feet away from somebody. It's hard to ignore you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That always impressed me. I'm like, that's impressive, because I know I would get distracted. I'd say my line, and then I'd be looking at the audience to see how they react to my line.
Did you get it? Did you like it?
Yeah, how was that? Should I do it again, or was that okay?
We don't go back. We don't go
No,
back. We don't go
got to
back.
keep going forward. So a couple of things, Lisa, before I let you go. Anything else that you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
Well, November 30th, We Three Kings, BB Winans, We Three Kings is going to be airing on Lifetime and Hulu at
That's
8
awesome.
o'clock, 7 Central. And it is such a beautiful film. And I promise you, it's probably a Christmas classic in the making.
I'll say I count that as a Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's why I said this is like my
Yeah,
first Christmas movie.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
there was one like the North Pole something, and I had like a
A
line in
little
it,
piece.
and I was like, no, 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 no. I more mean like I'm in the Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And this is that.
Oh, that's exciting. And and it comes out on the 30th?
The 30th of November.
Yeah, we're right there.
We're so
I'm
close.
glad we brought that one up. So last thing, before I let you go, where can we find you on social media?
Right now I'm on Instagram, which is connected to my Facebook page. I'm not very good at going over to Facebook though. But also I think I might join Blue Sky today.
What do you think about that? Mark
I don't know.
Hamill joined.
I've only heard about it being a nicer, safer place. So I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I will admit that we need something outside of Twitter or X, because it has gotten a little negative. Most of us, we just want to keep up with the news. We don't really want to be beat over the head with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I hope we can do it again at some point.
Oh my goodness, that would be great.
Yeah, this has
Thank you
been the
so
best.
much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, of course. Okay, hold on one second. The talented Lisa Berry. Hope you enjoyed that one. She's terrific. If you've got a younger one at home, definitely check out Beyond Black Beauty. You're probably going to like it regardless, but it's a terrific family show. It's on Prime. It came out around the middle of October, and Lisa plays Yvonne, so definitely check her out there. And then she's got the Christmas movie, My Three Kings, coming up on the 30th. So make sure you check her out there as well. Really enjoyed that. I think we touched on most of it. I should have brought up Chucky. She had a little stint on there as well. Designated Survivor, Haven, The Transporter, Bad Blood. She played Nellie on a bunch of those. And I think I hit the rest of them that I wanted to hit. She's definitely been pretty prolific in her acting career, and I'm sure we're going to see so much more from her. She's really, really talented. Love her acting ability. Thank you guys so much. Thrilled that you're here. Definitely don't take that for granted. We started this podcast in January of 2019. as a way just to spend time together as a father and son. It had no intention of it really becoming anything, and it took off. And that's all due to you. And I know it has nothing to do with my presence here. It's because of our great guests. I would put our guest list up against any other show, talk show, podcast, whatever. So proud of our guest list. We've had, I think we're closing in now on 1,000 guests. You can find all of our episodes, audio and video versions, on our website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. It's free. Really helps us out. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.